Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million in sales? And today we have James, a property tech entrepreneur. James, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. My name is James Faulkner, and I am the CEO of SiteMax Systems Inc, a PropTech application for construction.
Wow. Okay, so James, how did you come with this idea to create this application? Doing a software is difficult. Are you a software developer?
That's an interesting question. So in my past life, I was a UI developer.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to make prototypes, etc., very quickly.
Can you explain what is UI to the audience? Because
UI means,
they might not understand the term.
Yeah, UI means user interface. And if people hear UX, that means user experience. So UI, UX, the experience people have by using the UI it's going to depend on how much connection you have with whatever you're using. So yeah, that's how I got going.
So what happened in your past life? What happened in the past life that you decided that you're not gonna be working for the company anymore, doing the user interface and the user experience, and you decide to have your own product with an amazing user interface and user experience? What happened in your past life?
Well, the past life. I mean, I had my first business when I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow. Tell us more.
So I had a t-shirt company called Nero. And yeah, and I sold, and it turned into a company called Nero Tennis. It was tennis wear, and because I played tennis. And so yeah, I sold it at the local tennis shop and at my local country club, and I didn't go very far, but I was young and I learned about branding and what it takes to get customers and collect money, and there you go.
Yeah, and then so this is no. So what do you learn about this experience? There is somebody in your family is an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
do you read the books, or what made you think at a very young age, 15 years old, to start to do your own business and to make some money? Do you read the book?
No, I think mostly what it was is when I moved from England when I was young. My parents, we moved.
Oh, you
from
were
England.
living here before in UK.
Yeah, I was in England. Yeah.
Oh man, we should start from this. I'm based in London. Go ahead, continue. So you moved from UK to Canada, right?
Yeah, but I was very young. I was 9 years old. But yeah, when I got to Canada, I was in school. I wasn't treated very well. My teachers weren't very nice to me, so I never really had a great experience with authority, and never really wanted to work for anyone else. I always wanted to do my own thing. Didn't really trust anybody who was in the higher power. So you can't get a job when that's the case. So yeah, that's what I think when I was 21, the main part is when I was making these stickers for Nero. I went to a sign company and they cut out these decals. There used to be a brand, it's still around, called Oakley. But anyway, people used to put these Oakley stickers on their cars, and they were like cut out vinyl. And I went to a sign shop and I said, okay, so can I have 50 stickers? How much will that be? They said, well, $50. I said, okay, well, how about for 100? They said $100. I said, hang on a sec, is there no economies of scale here?
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was a great business. So I decided to I partnered with my friend at the time when I was 21, and I got his grandfather to co-sign for a loan for me to buy a sign system. So it was a vinyl cutter and a computer graphics interface, and I learned how to make signs.
Wow.
So I did that in my parents' basement. And then, yeah, I kept going with the sign company, and then that turned into me designing logos and then websites. I started making websites in 1993.
Oh my God.
So I knew how to.
When nobody had them, yeah, it should be an amazing.
Yeah. So that was so I always got into design and that kind of thing. So, and then I started a brand agency when I was 29. And then I worked for, my clients were Century 21 Canada, um, AIM Trimark, Manulife, the Cooperators insurance companies, Cineplex Odeon theaters, large companies. I used to do something called employer value propositions, and that would be what it meant to work somewhere. However, so I'm just going to get to how the construction thing goes, and then we can talk about some, whatever questions you have. But as when I had the branding agency in 2008 is when everything crashed. So in 2000, and that sort of hit me in 2009, and I lost about $300,000 in 1 month. And I was like, okay. But what I did realize is my branding agency, what the problem with it was that it was my talent and that allowed me to get customers. The problem is that meant that the business revolved around me. And any great business should not necessarily revolve only around the person, because you can't duplicate yourself. And even though you bring on other talent, they move around. And you're not really left with anything at the end of the day. There's no widget, there's no saleable asset, there's nothing except maybe a portfolio of experience that may be worth something to somebody at some point because they might think that you could get them business, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
So when that downturn happened, I was a freelancer, a brand consultant, and I got a contract with a construction company called Wales McClellan Construction, and they were a mid-sized general contractor. So how SiteMax started, which is mostly what the success story here is I built their website for them, and they said, is there any way that we, from the field, can log into the back end of the website and do their daily report? So I said, yeah, I could build that. So, and then I started pulling in the weather automatically, and they said, oh, that's pretty cool. You did that through an API. So I did that. And I said, you know what? Let's build an iPad app because I want to get rid of these digital cameras and them trying to connect. And so I'm like, okay, so let's build Apple at that time. You were able to do a private app. So I did this private app for them. And so, yeah, they were using it. We got written up in the Financial Times and in the National Post and a bunch of other regional papers here, like Construction Technology, which was pretty cool. And then what really made it go was I decided that there was a lot of information coming in, and because of the branding background that I had with employer value propositions, what it means to work somewhere, it's a sense of community and for people to be all on the same page in a company. Otherwise, you get some of this tribal differences. So a good way to do that, I said, look, I'm going to make a Google Chrome page, and I'm going to get Mac Minis. I had a manufacturing place create these little Mac Mini holders that would hold them on the wall. And then I got large LED screens, like TVs, and I had one put in behind the reception, one put in behind in the project management area, and the other one in the main concourse of their office. And it would pull in who was working on what site. It would give them the latest 5 photos because they did photos every day, what estimated completion it was, and then it would cycle to the next project. And it was called Project View. A subtrade came in one day to pick up their payment, and they go, what is that? And I said, oh, it's this thing we built, blah, blah. He goes, I want to know who that person is, who built that. So I met this guy, and shout out to Kevin Swenson, System 1 Flooring, awesome guy, who was on his boat this weekend. We started talking, and I've got a lot of successful friends, and my friend said to me, he goes, you know what, that thing you built for that company, you should do that. I said, well, how am I going to do that? They paid me to make it. So
exactly.
I can't just take it. That would be unethical, and et cetera. So what I did was I set a lunch up with the president of the company, and I said, I brought my Mac with me, and I had a keynote presentation, and it said SiteMax on it. And it said, this is what I want to do. I want to start a company called SiteMax. I want to commercialize this product. And he said yes. He would do an intellectual property transfer, partner with me, and fund it. And that's what happened.
Wow. So Now let's talk about this, because that's why I ask you if you're a developer, James, because a lot of successful people that I know in the tech space, they are not actually software developers, because at the end of the day, when you have a software and software as a service, 80% of the success of the company, it comes to branding, sales, and marketing, and the user experience and user interface also is part of the branding. And we always sometimes the tech entrepreneurs, they get so centered in the product and the writing code and the technology, right? They put all the energy there without knowing that 80% of the success of that company is going to be how effective they're gonna be finding the clients and developing that brand, right? So in your view, what is the difference between have a tech product, right, that you put all the energy and all the skill sets are about to develop this tech product, whereas your product that is completely different, because your product was creating, you did find the need, you find someone that was ready to pay for it. Actually, they were paying you to doing it,
Mhm.
so it was the need of the problem. And then you decided, or you guys decided, that if you had this company to do that and you solve this problem, probably somebody else's have the same problem that need help. And hey, let's build the product, let's build the brand around this, and let's go out there and find the clients, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Which
There
is the right
is,
way to do it, my opinion. Yeah.
it is, but I mean, there's some, headwinds when it comes to that approach as well. And the
Oh,
headwinds are
tell
is
us,
that
tell us which ones
well,
are.
we built that product for that company.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean every company works like that company.
Exactly.
So you end up in a bit of an echo chamber on the product development side of what they need. And when you go out to the market and they go, yeah, we don't do it like that. And then you've got a piece of software that is, so that can be, difficult. Um, I would say that in construction, the appetite for a product that doesn't work as expected is very low. So you're talking about, especially with field and field staff, if they pick up a Milwaukee drill and they pull the trigger and it doesn't turn, they throw it across the job site. So if your app doesn't work as expected, they want to smash their phone to the ground. So it's the same mentality. So, and there's the element of product market fit that you have to get to. You have to, before you put, you're correct in saying a lot of it is, sales and marketing and go to market strategies, et cetera, and branding, but you can't brand a poor product. You just can't. And, as much as you want to, people might sign up for it and then they just leave because it doesn't meet their expectations. So getting the product right and the marketing right, I mean, that's really where it kind of works. I would say that in Canada, you know, I would say if I were to do this again, I would have started this in the US, because,
It's a bigger
that
market.
it's not just a bigger market. It's the fact that if you're American, you're American. Americans don't see Canadians even close to we think that Canadians think of Americans. It's not the same. We
Yeah.
just think, oh, Vancouver's like Seattle, Toronto's like New York. No, it's not. They don't think of us even closely to that. So there is a thing about being American that I think is very important. Also, the access to capital, et cetera. People are way,
Easier.
way, way more business minded
Mm-hmm.
in the States, and they're quick. They will try things, they will do things, whereas in Canada they're pretty slow to adopt.
Yeah. So how you navigate this issue or this challenge to get your product market fit, because to get a software as a service product market fit is a tough job, right? Especially if there is an startup and you have one client. So what advice or how you navigate this challenge, and how what tips can you give to people about how to navigate that, whoever is in this issue right now, could be not only the construction, but in the software as a service in general, right?
Yeah. So I mean, software as a service. I mean, it doesn't matter what vertical you're in or what industry you're serving. You have to make sure that you have enough runway financing. I mean, it is a financing game when you're talking about software as a service. So if you're talking about any other kind of business, you can probably just bootstrap it and do whatever. But you need enough runway to be able to make sure that before you go to market, that you have tested properly. You're not just going out there and having your customers test for you, because that's death. So you want to make sure that you are going out there and you've got enough runway and time to be able to develop the software how you think it'll work. And you have some people who are helping, real life people testing that with you to make sure that's right. And you got to work really, really hard in that time. So to keep in mind, let's just say you have a 9-month worth of capital ready, like left. You got 9 months of runway. In those 9 months, you have to work 3 times as hard, because that time is worth everything to the company at that time. So you have to really compress that time. If you kind of coast at that time and you get too caught up in the fact you've got this cool company, this cool idea, is when you're missing your velocity opportunity right there.
Yeah. And then James, any challenge? I mean, it was definitely you have a skill set that have a lot of advantages in this industry, because user experience and user interface actually play a good part, and also the branding, right? So what was the most successful strategy that you did in order to acquire more clients?
Oh, well, I would say that the thing that worked the best in the early days was I did radio ads
Wow.
on, I know, I know. I did radio ads on the traffic channel because I
Fantastic.
knew that these construction workers were tuning in on their radio, because they all had, we all drive around in nice cars. You drive around in Teslas and Mercedes and even less, more affordable cars today are all, Bluetooth, and they're all, but
Mhm.
these trucks and delivery trucks, they got a cassette deck, maybe a CD player, and AM and FM radio, and they've got to navigate how they're going to get from A to B. So, and they're not necessarily staring at their phone the whole time, using, Google Maps or Waze or any ways to learn about traffic. They want to know if there's delays on bridges, et cetera. So and it was cheap. That stuff was playing all the time, and we would get inbound phone calls. Hey, I heard you on the radio.
Wow. And then see, because at the end of the day, James, right? The product is a productivity product, right? It was helping the company to save money, right? So how you articulate the benefit of the app to these people that they was calling you?
Well, I mean, most of them wanted to have a digital experience for their staff, and they didn't want to be pushing paper all over the place. I mean, a piece of paper, you have to go, not only somebody have to fill it up, to fill it out, they have to go and then collect it. Then they have to take that information and then input that somewhere. That double point of entry is just terrible. So that was the
It's
main thing.
expensive,
And
right?
it's
Expensive and
expensive.
slow, right?
It's expensive. I mean, the ROI on their side was nuanced based on their team size. So, putting a number on what their ROI was going to be, what we did is we would provide opportunities for them to do that mental math themselves. As long as we gave them simple mathematics, they were able to go, yeah, well, we paid so and so this, so and so that, takes them these amount of hours, and then they were able to figure out what the
That's a
ROI
great
would be.
tip. That's a great tip. Rather, you tell them what the productivity is and how much money they can save and how fast they can do it. If you allow the client to do the math themselves, right?
Yeah.
They will be able to realize by themselves the product, right? That was
Yeah,
the
my math's never going to be this accurate to their business, so I need to give them whatever the
exactly. They
formula
have to
is.
do their own math, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think that the advertising in the radio is brilliant, because some of these um on the site, right? Also the bit that they listen radio sometimes, not only in the car when they're driving, but sometimes when they're working, depending on the size of the job, right? Sometimes they put a radio and they put the music, and if in that radio they can get the weather, which is something important for them, because some of them they are exposed outside, so especially Canada. You need to know.
You
Yeah,
need to know the
I
weather.
was there for a week, and I never saw so much snow in my life. When I was there in Canada once, right? So the issue is that because there are two things, right? The buyer of the software, the buyer of the product is not using the products, right? So how you manage to keep everybody happy, to keep the buyer happy, which is the owner of the company that want to save the money and want everybody to work fast, and he has a special needs. That's the other thing. You need to create and design a product that is flexible, because now you're selling to everybody, right? So
Right.
how you manage to keep your client happy and your users happy at the same time?
That's a very, very good question. So when you have conflicting interests, it's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to move your product forward. So obviously the decision makers or the champions of the company want to implement some kind of technology like this because, as you said, there's a benefit. Either it's cost savings, etc. Um, the problem with that is you have top-down authority happening. So, and in construction, you have different stratas of people on a job site. You have some people who might have grown up in a construction family who love construction and this was their plan and they always wanted to build things and they love it. You have other people who they needed a job and they have life circumstances that are very challenging and they're always looking for reasons for something to not work. It's like glass half full.
Hmm.
Or sorry, half empty, excuse me. It's glass half empty often. And when someone says, now you're going to use this
This app
software on your phone.
that will check the time that you arrive, will check where you move, will check what time you're doing this, will
Yeah,
check what time
exactly.
that. I
So
imagine that the
there's,
resistance is huge, right?
well, it's, you're going to get comments like, this is Big Brother, you're tracking me, blah, 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 all these kinds of things. Well, which is ubiquitous now. Everyone does that. I mean, if you look at Snap, for instance, my daughter uses Snap and she puts up the screen. She sees where all her friends are. It's like, holy crap, I can't believe this. I mean, it's crazy. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I hear about
It's
it. Yeah.
unbelievable. Well, I mean, you see that screen, you go, wow. Like she knows where every single one of her friends is who has logged into the app within the last hour, who's active on the app. So if you're not active on it, it doesn't show where you are.
Of course,
But if you're
yeah.
active on it, it shows. Like she knows that she can just take the subway to go and see her friend or go to places where they know people are. If there's a party and they're all on it, you could see where the house is. It's crazy. Anyway, so I digress. But essentially, yeah, there's elements of Big Brother and reasons why I shouldn't use something. So what's hard is on the UX side of things, you have to have a pretty compelling
Mhm.
time saver for the person. If it's more of a process, you're kind of going to lose them.
Yeah.
So
It
you
has
have
to
to
be
give,
fast, right? Easy
well,
and fast.
easy, fast, and you have to give value back to the user, which
Mm.
is not easy to do because you're actually asking
Very
them to do
difficult
something
to
else.
do, because you're providing the value to the company, right?
Right.
So
So
what would be the value for the user? The weather, right? Or something?
no, no, no. It's the fact they don't have to fill out a paper time card. They hate it.
Ah,
You
exactly.
know, they know what job they're going to. If they need access to a file, it's all on their phone. They want to look at a set of drawings, it's right there. If they want to take a photo, they can. They want to message someone else from
Mm,
a different site, they can.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there's lots of benefits.
Technology has helped a lot the construction side. I remember we used to have before a property company, right? We managed to sell over 5 million doing this. And I remember back in the day, what can we do now? I remember back in the day it was not possible, and today is amazing, right? Today you have a problem with the plumber, right, or with the sink, something gets blocked, and the first thing that we tell to our tenants is, can you do a video And then you
Yeah.
take this video, you send it to the plumber, and then the plumber already see the video. When they come to fix, they know exactly what the problem is. They come in with the right equipment to fix it, and they solve it. Back on the day, it was not like that. Back on the day, the tenant call you. You need to hear this description. You need to go yourself to see the problem. Then you need to call the plumber and tell the problem what is exactly the problem, and then the problem will come guessing what you're saying, and it was a lot of time waste and a lot of money and a lot of things, especially if you're running a large operation. I remember every time that something is that we have an incident in the property, and this is what we do. We just today you just take a picture and send it to the guy, and that's it. You forget about. Next thing you have is just the invoice, and it's most cost. Things get fixed faster and more effective. I cannot believe that how technology has helped this sector a lot, right? And then again, what you're sharing in terms of productivity as well, right? So, but then, James, the app, having a tech company, software as a service, it has a lot of costs in terms of customer service and things like that. So how
Yep.
you navigate this issue? Because this is something that to when you have a software as a service, it's not only people think no, you just deliver the software and just make money and that's it. They will pay the subscription and so on. A lot of elements go to the things because you have to give support to a customer service. This is expensive. People need to know what they're talking about. So how you manage to improve that part of your business?
Well, in the early days, it was just me doing it. And then I hired a couple of people, and then they were helping me do that.
Was
So
difficult to train them?
no, no, because the software has kind of evolved over time. It was more simple than it is now. It does way more now than it did then. So it kind of scaled with our workforce, or our workforce has, changed. Obviously, not everyone stays with you forever, but it's been, it is a very difficult thing because in construction, also you're dealing with different time zones as well. So
Yeah.
we have some customers in the UK, we got some in Australia, we got,
Oh
Eastern
wow, you
and
have customers also in UK. Fantastic.
yeah, not many, just a couple.
Great.
And then, yeah, so your time zone's an issue if they need help. So we do use Intercom for that. Intercom now has a white labeled AI responder, which is very good. So the best way is to make an amazing knowledge base. So we have a knowledge based learning center that has everything anybody needs to know. And Max is our robot. And basically when we get, you can message right from the app because it's the chat, the chat help is
It's
integrated
connected.
it's
Connected
integrated in the
to
application, and it
brilliant.
uses Intercom's AI. So that works very well for us. And it cuts down all of the little questions and only gets us, we don't have to answer just the big stuff that is, because there's a lot of little things like, how do I log in? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
So how about the US market, James? Do you manage to penetrate the US market?
We are 17% of our customers are in the US. So
Oh wow, that's brilliant news. That's
17, not 70.
yeah,
17.
17. Yeah, but that's brilliant. Is what you said because to penetrate the market of US is tough with the
Well, we've done, I mean, there's been some companies that didn't mind that we were Canadian, but you do have to be. So our growth into the US in the fall here is our US subsidiary, and actually hiring Americans. And we
the
want to,
product. Yeah,
well, we want to contribute to America. We don't just want to go there and exploit
of
America.
course.
We're
Yeah,
here to create jobs for America. SiteMax USA.
yeah.
It's going to be a really exciting initiative for us. We're also going to be doing advocacy there on mental health and construction through our podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is called the Site Visit Podcast, which if anyone wants to listen, we're at episode number 144 on that one. We've been
Wow, a
doing
lot
that
of
a long time.
episodes. A lot of
Oh yeah.
episodes.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, and the different shows, construction trade shows, they invite us to do the podcast live on the floor. So we do that. It's a great social engine for us.
Hmm. So then, James, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to entrepreneurs out there to make the first million?
All right, here they are. Are you ready for this? Now,
Yes,
some of
we
these
are.
are preventative measures because a lot can happen in the way of getting to $1 million. So, the first is as you are forming your idea, forming your company, and you're thinking of a partner, that is a marriage. So, pick your partner very carefully. It can sink your company. So, that's the first thing. Make sure that you guys have the same long-term, short-term goals and you have the same drive. You are splitting off the certain areas. Make sure that you're not both the same. You're complementing each other's qualities. So that's the first thing is the partnership is a marriage. So make sure you're compatible. Second, uh, if this is your idea and you do want to have a partner or an investor, keep your eye on that cap table. So just for what everyone who's not into venture capital or any venture financing, a cap table means how many shares there are and who has those shares. So if it's 2 people who start a company, you might go 50-50 in the beginning. But if it's your idea, do not ever go 50-50, ever. Okay?
Of course, yeah.
What you do is you start high. You start at maybe 80-20 and get that. If that other person really wants that other 30%, you have that at performance based. So that would be that. Keep your eye on that cap table because after you raise money, you keep raising money, you're not going to be too excited of the fact that that gets smaller for yourself. Okay. So the third one is get your pricing model right. Make sure you're charging enough and that the customer is getting a huge value, anywhere between 5 and 10x what it costs them. If you think that you are just going to provide something, you're going to charge $1 and they're going to get $1 value back, you won't make it. The fourth is as you scale, and obviously we're talking about your first million, so you're going to have people. The people play is everything. Character is everything. The character of those people, first of all, when look for skill, but more importantly, look for character because the skill can be learned, a character can't. If you hire that wrong character, that can sink your company too. And the last is, in order to attract the right people to join you on your journey to get yourself to your first $1 million, you need to value their time. Their time is everything. They need to have an affinity towards you on what you're doing. They need to want to be like you. You need to inspire them, and they need to know that the time that they're spending with you is worth it. And if you do that, then you will have longer employees who stay, their tenure will be longer, and you'll be able to, all of the time you spend with them, teaching them how to do things, you're not going to be doing that over and over and over again. You're going to have some economies of scale there in terms of investment with your people. So making sure that they understand that their time will be well spent spending their life with you because you're spending 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. That's a majority of their life is based on your vision. So if they don't think that's worth it, you won't get there.
Yeah. And then, James, for everyone that have a different property tech products there, right? What would be the best road for them to find the first clients and to find and to do this software as a service? You mentioned some trade shows. This is some construction trade shows.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, there's BuildX. There's, to get your first clients, I wouldn't be going to a show. I would be doing your research and finding what your ideal customer profile is. What is your product going to evolve into, and who's that customer going to be? Very early in this podcast, I said SiteMax doesn't build hospitals or airports.
Exactly, you say.
There's a reason for that because we have an ICP. We know exactly who our target is. So, and that's what our software serves, which is great. So what I would say is in the early days, figure out who your ICP is going to be and then go call them.
Can you share
Call
what
them
is
up.
ICP?
Ideal customer profile.
Ideal customer profile, right? And also, James, the when the let's talk about security, right? Because the cyber security or the security of the apps, right,
Yeah.
is where is the cyber security is the biggest threat that all tech companies have, right, including the Facebooks and the Googles and the whatever, right? Um, so there is a theory there that the apps can be developed cloud-based, right? And then they will have more security, right? So how you guys work on that base to make sure that the platform is safe and works all the time? That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, on the security side, there's just some best practices in terms of if you have a software as a service that's in sort of, I'm not going to say enterprise level, but it's a business to business like that. You're going to want every instance for every company to be on a separate. It's not all in the same database. They need their own database. So that's the first thing. So if, if everything went wrong, they wouldn't be getting every customer. So that's the first thing. And then secondly is to use frameworks, and because you can replace those frameworks, try not to build everything from scratch. There's a lot out there. Use the biggest stuff possible. Use Microsoft Azure, use AWS, use Google Cloud, use those big services. Use as many of their built-in services as you can because they're the most secure possible.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100% with you. Yeah, if the app is developing the AWS, not completely different ball game, because to hack you they need to hack Amazon, and this is more difficult, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, try to leverage existing technology that they are powerful in that environment, and then you just leverage, because like you said, most of them. Most of these big companies, they have white level services that you can actually adopt and build on top of these white level services, and now you're leveraging the safety, yes, and then like you said, some architectures element things, like you said, have separate databases, so in order to protect your clients, right? So the issue keep being, so how is more expensive to acquire a client in UK, in Canada, or in US for you?
Well,
What is most expensive?
so far it's been Canada because we've been
Oh wow.
we've been outreaching to Canada because you have your inbound and your outbound sales
Yeah.
efforts. So your inbound is obviously reasonably, when people find you via search, it didn't cost you that much. So that's going to cost you less. But if you hired someone to call someone, then they got to chase them and chase them. You're paying for hours there. So
Yeah.
the out and depending on where you're targeting. So our UK customers, it's not like we had a UK team to go out and find UK customers.
Course, yeah.
These were the ones that took a flyer on being with a Canadian company, and they were like, okay, well, we're willing to do that, and they're happy with it. So far it's been, the outreach that you're targeting on the outbound that's the most expensive. However, if I were to be doing the same outreach efforts and inbound efforts, I would say it's obviously wherever you're regionally located, it's going to be should be cheaper because you can go to events, you can go to things, and you're not flying all over the place. Trade shows are very expensive. That's for sure, because it's not just the booth. It's not just the trade show space. You got to pay your people to fly there. You got to pay for their hotels. You got to ship
The
all your
events are
stuff.
really expensive, really
I mean,
expensive, and sometimes they need to see you 3-4 times. For an startup, is a killer, right?
it's really hard. I mean, there's a big construction trade show in Las Vegas called the World of Concrete, and it's interesting. Like from a branding point of view, I always am reluctant to send SiteMax there until we can be at the same size of some of the larger US competitors we have, because I don't want to look small either. I'd rather there be a somewhat of a mystery around how big we are.
Exactly.
Based on our website than somebody walking up and going, well, we've got a 10 by 10 booth and somebody else has got the whole thing with a circular thing hanging from the roof, and they're in the middle of the trade show and they're giving out drinks. So, I mean, you don't want to be perceived as small because it seems untrustworthy, right? Like, why would I go and risk my company with this little mom and pop, it looks like? Because you don't have the budgets of some of your big companies. So you've seen that in the CRM space. For instance, Salesforce is the biggest.
Yeah.
But when a Pipe Drive came up, or HubSpot, or any of those, they had to start and fight that brand war against Salesforce. And it's hard to do. You have to be very strategic about how you're perceived.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then the last question, James, is when it comes to the strategy because now let's face it, this software that you have, you can operate globally, right? So you can accommodate the clients, right? So when it comes to a subscription model, for example, that how you guys do it? You do it per user, you do it per company, do you have different prices? So how flexible you are to make sure that you accommodate the needs of most of your customers?
Well, we have 3 different tiered plans, which depends on what modules you can use. And then it's per user per plan.
You have different models, and then depends how many models, and it's per user, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. So James, any last message that you have for property tech entrepreneurs out there that they have an idea, they have a drive, they want to start, and they're still worried that things can go wrong? Any message you have for these entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I'd start off with AI tools right away.
Wow.
I would do your best to become an AI conductor.
Wow. Yeah.
So try and do the best that you can without any developers. Just try. And every day that goes by, it will get easier.
And then it will be cost effective, right, James?
It's not cost effective. Then you're not reliant on anybody, and you have total autonomy to do the things you need to do. And it'd be surprising how much you learn. So as you become the most successful people in the next 10 years are going to be the people who are the best AI conductors. You unleash them on a whole bunch of tools, and they don't need anybody else around. They're going to be very valuable people. So if you can do that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you'll be way further ahead.
That's an amazing tip. And with that, with James, last question: where can they find it? Somebody we have the property developers. They are listening this podcast, and they want to know more about your software. Which website they can visit? How they can find you?
The website is SiteMax.cloud.
Okay. And it will help everyone that is developing, like James said, it's not gonna help you to develop an airport, a huge project, but a good size mid-size project they will be good to go regardless they're in UK, US, Canada, whatever. Is that correct?
That's right. Just all you need is SiteMax. You need one app. Your people don't have to keep opening and closing multiple apps to do the stuff they need on site. It's all in there.
That's fantastic. I love it. Simple, direct to the point, and productivity tools, which is the most important because it can save time and money, right?
That's correct.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Harry.
James, for this interview, and for everyone that is listening to the podcast. See you in our next episode. How brave entrepreneurs break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.